ArtisanVineyards.com took part in Minnesota Monthly's 15th annual Food and Wine Experience at the end of February. Our Tuscan-inspired booth was a beacon to those seeking out the best of show wines. We submitted 4 wines to the show's blind tasting panel. All 4 wines received a best of show rating. Nicolas Feuillette, Best Champagne; Dog Point, Best Sauvignon Blanc; Roca Family Vineyards, Best Cabernet; and Luzon, Best Value Import Red. Inside the booth, we conducted blind tastings which showcased benchmark icon wines against lesser-known and much less expensive wines from the ArtisanVineyards.com portfolio. In this session, Will Bailey, Portfolio Director for ArtisanVineyards.com, led the way. The tasters chose to sample either 3 Pinot Grigios or 3 Cabernets, and then took a few minutes to swirl, sniff, and sip, finally giving each wine a hedonistic, non-comparative rating on a scale of 1 to 5.
There are no right or wrong answers. Has everyone written something down? So now those of you tasting white wines, please raise one hand and show me the number of points. A, wine A. 4, 8, 10, 12.
Our goal in this tasting was to show how well our small production wineries can stack up against some of the most renowned names in the business, and what a comparatively great value they often deliver.
What Artisan Vineyards does is try to work with smaller producers, lesser known producers, producers who are kind of off the beaten path, as it were, and give them some access to you, and use some access to them. And in a fight against kind of big, powerful benchmark sort of brands. So in this tasting are 2 what we consider to be complete benchmarks, maybe the benchmarks in the category, and then 2 wines from ArtisanVineyards.com. So wine A is Santa Margarita Pinot Grigio. Santa Margarita certainly is an icon in the Pinot Grigio category. It is about $25 a bottle, so it's certainly at the top of the higher end of the Pinot Grigio price list. But people buy this wine like hotcakes. So this is our kind of icon benchmark wine. 12 points. Wine B, 13 points, a modest lead. A wine called Santa Di Turosa Pinot Grigio. Santa Di Turosa is exactly what I was talking about when we do Artisan Vineyards. It is a producer named Antonio Fattori, who we've worked with for many, many years in Suave, and we asked him to make for us a Pinot Grigio that was comparatively reasonably priced, and you're not supposed to be peeking still, comparatively reasonably priced, and consistent. We work with these wines now for 7 or 8 years, and we think they're great every year. The difference between the Santa Di Turosa and the Santa Margarita is the Santa Margarita is $25, Santa Di Turosa is $12. And then lastly, the whiz-bang winner, 18 out of 20 points. An Oregon Pinot Gris from a producer called Bethel Heights. Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are the exact same grape. Traditionally, it is called Pinot Gris in Oregon and in France, and Pinot Grigio in Italy, but again, the same grape. Bethel Heights is actually one of the great kind of old school producers in Oregon, but not widely recognized. They don't make a lot of wine. We think their wines are great, and I would also say that I think that Pinot Gris from Oregon is a great place if you like wines. As you can taste this wine is a little bit, it's a different wine from the first 2. The first 2 are that kind of clean, crisp style of Pinot Grigio. The Pinot Gris certainly is fruitier. It's not actually sweet, but it is much fruitier. It's a dry wine, but it's so fruity that it comes off as very sweet. And I think very, very appealing. Happily you did too. The Bethel Heights Pinot Gris is about $18 again, so in between the 2 wines, but at least in a blind taste, seems to be the winner. The Red Flight, the big winner with 25 points, is the Silver Oak Alexander Valley Cabernet 2004. Again, this would be our benchmark icon wine from the category. Silver Oak is, incredibly highly regarded. Certainly out there all over the place. People like this wine a lot. It's $75 a bottle, so I'm glad to see that you like it a lot. Wine B, with 19 points, is a wine from Argentina. This is a producer called Acero. Acero is Paul Hobbs, if you're familiar with him, as a California winemaker. This is his Argentine project. This is his first release of wines. Certainly Argentina is renowned for making Malbecs. They also make a lot of Cab, a lot of good Cab. Not the same kind of deal as the Bethel Heights, but again, compared to the Silver Oak, I would argue this wine is in a much fruitier style, a much more forward, certainly less wood on it. This is also a $20 bottle of wine versus being a $75 bottle of wine. And then lastly, a little higher score than the Acero, in some ways kind of a direct competitor to the Silver Oak. This is Jack Williams Cabernet Sauvignon. This is also Alexander Valley fruit, so this is literally fruit that is farmed, in some cases, next door to the Silver Oak fruit. This is a small winery project. If any of you are familiar with Murphy Good as a winery, Dave Reddy Jr., who's a local guy from Edina, makes the wines for Murphy Good. And when he has a few free hours from his day job, he makes a little bit of wine under his own label called Jack Williams. This wine is about $33, so less than half the price of the Silver Oak. And the funny story, and this is not why we bought the Silver Oak, but this is a true story. He made the first Jack Williams Cab he made was in 2005. And after he released it, the Silver Oak guys went to the grower that he had bought that fruit from and bought the contracts for the 2006 fruit. So I don't think the price came down, but they now own the fruit. So anyway, but that's for Jack Williams. So that's our show. I leave you to make your own decisions. You can totally peek now, sorry.
The wines were each scored on a 5-point scale, and after 244 tastings, the people have spoken. In the Pinot Grigio Pinot Gris category, the average scores look like this. 3.6 points, Bethel Heights Pinot Gris, 2007, Willamette Valley, Oregon, $18. 3 points, Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio, 2007, Val Adige, Italy, $25. 3 points, Santa di Tarosa Pinot Grigio, 2007, Veneto, Italy, $12. The wines highlighted in yellow can be found on artisanvineyards.com. In the Cabernet Sauvignon category, the average scores look like this. 3.5 points, Acero Cabernet Sauvignon, 2006, Mendoza, Argentina, $20. 3.4 points, Silver Oak Cabernet Sauvignon, 2004, Alexander Valley, California, $75. 3.2 points, Jack Williams The King Cabernet Sauvignon, 2006, Alexander Valley, California, $33.
Even if they all scored exactly the same, that's still a good point to what we're trying to make today, is that you don't have to necessarily reach for the most expensive bottle on the shelf. Look elsewhere.
These wines from artisanvineyards.com were less expensive than the commercial household benchmarks, and yet our wines compared very well, reflecting not only their quality, but also their outstanding value. These 4 wines embody the merit of our entire portfolio. Remember, we spit so you don't have to.